Welcome to New Hampshire Politics with John Burt. I'm John Burt. I want to thank you for joining me today. And overall, the summer has been a great summer. You know, a little hot, and we need a little more rain that we've been getting. Geez, it must have been a couple weeks ago we got some good rain. As this airs, I mean, I think it was on a Wednesday. Boy, did it storm. You know, just buckets it came down, but we desperately need it. And but anyways, I got a great show for you. You got to watch the last video at the end. It is what a real president looks like. And I'll tell a little more about that when we get closer, but it's President Reagan gives a speech, and I'll tell you, it just makes me get goosebumps, and I go, my God, we need a good president. You know, is Trump the man? I hope he's going to be. You know, I don't think he'll be another Reagan, but, you know, hopefully he'll be pretty close is what I'm hoping for. But, you know, it might be a high hope, but, you know, that's who I'm going to vote for is Trump. I'm just looking at, you know, the other side. I'm just going, no, you know, I know what Hillary's going to do for me. She's just going to keep the same last 8 years, and I don't think that's the right way to go. I just don't want to see that for my grandchildren. But anyways, I want to start off with a nice video, and it's of this Olympic, geez, I should know where Rio. I was going to say I should. I've been watching the Olympics. You know, I see clips of it after. But this guy, wait until the end of the video. The video is 55 seconds long, so almost a minute. Watch him when, I don't know what it's called, but when you slam down and you're supposed to land solid. Watch this at the end. It's just incredible. Oh, real quick too, and as he spins around, he's one arm. And I'm going, oh my God. You know, this guy's like Superman. But here's the video. I'm going to play it right now. Here it goes, right now.
Finished out of the medals. Does a bunch of elements connected together. Release skills. Beautiful one-arm giant here. Nicely done. Watch this. Really good. Needs to go to a handstand there. Another big release. Here we go again. Well, regardless, Chris Brooks put it out there.
How's that for handling pressure?
Wasn't that something? It's just, to land like that. You know, I imagine that guy won the gold. I'm guessing. You know, I should have followed up a little more on it, but it was pretty impressive, and I do want to thank NBC for you know, having that video out there. The next video, it's a real short one, but I know a lot of you will remember this, especially if you're my age. I'm 56. If you're if you remember President Reagan, I'll show the video. Here it comes up in a couple seconds here, and it's going to play right now.
John Hinckley Jr., the man who tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan outside the Hilton Hotel in Washington, D.C. in 1981, will be freed after 35 years and allowed to live with his mother in Virginia. What a scene, what a moment that was. It really crystallized Reagan's presidency in the early months of his time in the White House. And you think about the visits to the hospital bed with Nancy Reagan and how he was able to interject humor into an otherwise awful moment in American history. And we all know about James Brady and the two others who were hit by Hinckley's bullets. But John Hinckley Jr., after years of trying to be released, has now been granted his wish. That's some breaking news happening moments ago.
Now that did air a couple weeks, it might have been even a couple months ago, but I've been wanting to bring that in. I'll be honest, I am shocked they freed him. I really am. I just look at that and go, you know, because they never had a trial on him shooting anything. They found him incompetent to stand trial, which I knew that's what they were going to do. And then that way they can hold him indefinitely forever, really. I'm just shocked they're releasing them. You know, and I guess the Reagan kids there, they all said that they forgave them, and you know, they want to move on. So, you know, I don't know, maybe it's time. I just think to myself, I don't know. You know, I wonder what Jodie Foster thought, because remember that? It was, you know, he mentioned Jodie Foster a couple times, you know, the actress. And I'm just wondering, you know, what she's thinking about the whole thing. But nobody's ever, I haven't seen a video clip on it or anything of anybody asking her. And what's the next video? Oh, I am sure it's Hillary Clinton. You know, she's on the Democrat side to run for president. I'm sure she misspoke. But wait till you hear this. This is just hilarious. It is really funny. And here comes the video. Here it is right now.
I'm telling you right now, we're going to write fairer rules for the middle class, and we are going to raise taxes on the middle class.
We're going to raise taxes on the middle class. Awesome. And Warren Buffett back there behind her, the billionaire, clapping his hands. Now, we're going to give her the benefit of the doubt and assume that she meant lowering taxes on the middle class. She didn't correct herself, and the campaign has not yet clarified.
Well, I almost think President Obama said that he wasn't going to raise taxes on the middle class, but boy, he's raised them a lot. And so, you know, maybe she was just speaking the truth, but, you know, I'll be like, I think it was Laura Ingraham that was speaking in the background on Fox News. You know, I imagine she just, you know, in the drama of everything, she just, you know, forgot to speak the right way when she said it. Oh, it was funny when I heard it, you know, because of course it's all over Facebook and YouTube, and I do like watching my YouTube videos. So it was just really funny when I saw that. And, you know, but if she gets elected, your taxes will go up if you're the middle class, because for some reason that's who, you know, both sides do it. They just attack the middle class all the time. You know, the rich, which, you know, I support some of the, you know, tax breaks they get, because, you know, when I was in the tree business, I never worked for a poor person. You know, it was always the rich people that I worked for, and they hire a lot of people. You know, I did some, you know, tree work for people that didn't have a lot of money, and of course I gave them, you know, good discounts, and the rich people, you know, I charged them a fair amount, and I got a lot of work out of it. But, you know, the middle class just gets hit all the time, and then the poor, they don't pay much tax, if they pay any, because that's the way the system's made. And Trump, I think, does talk about making it an even across the board. You know, remember, who was it? Forbes. He wanted that flat tax. You know, if you go spend $1, you're going to send them 3 cents or 10 cents or whatever the number is. You know, I almost kind of look at that, and, you know, I'd have to see a little more on it, but, you know, boy, they're all talking about it now. And I remember when Forbes talked about it, boy, they laughed him right out of the, I think he was running for president, if I remember right. They laughed him right down the street. They said it'd never work. But I almost wonder, if other countries are doing more of a flat tax. And I think that's what Trump wants to look at, is maybe going to something like that. So I guess I'd like to see more on it. Now the next one is with Harry Reid. This just disturbs me. So before I say anything, let's watch the video. And again, it's Harry Reid, and it's what they believe in. This is how they want to run everything. And here's the video. It's going to start right now.
If now, because he's the nominee for the party, and he's entitled to briefings from the CIA, for example, I said publicly, give him fake briefings. Pretend you're briefing. Don't tell him anything.
But as a Republican nominee, isn't he entitled to get those briefings?
Give him fake briefings.
What does that even mean?
It means they'll tell him stuff. He won't know the difference.
You're basically telling the intelligence community to lie to him.
No, I'm not going to lie to you, but I still have to tell you everything.
Now, what do you think about that? This is Harry Reid. You know, he was one of the top people down there. He says, yeah, just don't tell them everything. So we're not lying. We're just not telling them everything. And this is how they want to, you know, run the country. And I just look at that, you know, that's dangerous. Because both Hillary and Trump, I'm hoping Trump's going to come out of the, you know, out of the election as the winner. but both of them need to be fed, the truth of what's going on. They need to start now and gear them up, toward being the president. And because January, I think it's January 21st is when the U-Haul pulls in and drags Obama out of the White House. I think it's January 21st, 2017. And, like I said, not that I want to push time quicker, because boy, time goes by quick. But I can't wait for January 21st, especially if it's going to be Trump. If it's going to be Hillary, I'm like, does it matter at this point? Yeah, it really won't. What's the next one? Oh, the next one's going to be Newt Gingrich. And let me talk a little bit about that one, because, I just look at that. And this is when he was running for president. CNN set him up. And I guess the story came out of ABC or one of the others, but Newt talks about it. And Newt's response when CNN, whoever this John guy is, I think that's his name, when he brings it up and he talks about it, Newt just flies into him. And rightfully he should. In my eyes, and it isn't even my eyes, I know it for a fact. The news media is so far to the left. I mean, they just beat constantly on Trump. They come up with all these things, saying, oh, this is the word he said. We're not going to talk about anything about Hillary, about Benghazi or her foundation. Oh, I did tell on Facebook, I said, I'm going to take Hillary's foundation, what is it called, Clinton Foundation? And I'm going to remove the Clinton words everywhere in the same contract to build that foundation, and I'm going to put the Burt Foundation. Do you think the New Hampshire AG or the federal government would come and investigate me? Yeah, I would probably be sitting in Valley Street at the jail. I guarantee you I would if I did that. But for some reason, they just look the other way. I don't understand why. It just disturbs me. But anyways, to get back to the video with New, you got to listen to the audience. I mean, they just roar. I did wonder that. What does CNN? There they are, all standing there with, I'm guessing 600, maybe 800 people or 500 people. I don't know how many's in the audience, but there's a lot. You can hear the noise roaring. What do they think? Do they ever get scared? Like, these guys are going to jump up on the stage and pummel me and beat me to the ground, which, and I don't condone violence, but it just disturbs me when they come out with this stuff. So I really want to show you the video, and which one is it? No, it's number 5, the one about Newt, and I'm going to play it right now. And it's a long video. It's 3 minutes and 10 seconds long, so here it is right now.
And Mr. Speaker, I want to start with that this evening. As you know, your ex-wife gave an interview to ABC News and another interview at the Washington Post, and this story has now gone viral on the internet. In it, she says that you came to her in 1999, at a time when you were having an affair. She says you asked her, sir, to enter into an open marriage. Would you like to take some time to respond to that?
No, but I will. I think the destructive, vicious, negative nature of much of the news media makes it harder to govern this country, harder to attract decent people to run for public office, and I am appalled that you would begin a presidential debate on a topic like that.
Look at his face.
Is that all you want to say, sir?
Let me finish.
Please.
Every person in here knows personal pain. Every person in here has had someone close to them go through painful things. To take an ex-wife and make it 2 days before the primary a significant question in a presidential campaign is as close to despicable as anything I can imagine. My two daughters wrote the head of ABC and made the point that it was wrong, that they should pull it, and I am frankly astounded that CNN would take trash like that and use it to open a presidential debate.
As you noted, Mr. Speaker, this story did not come from our network. As you also know, it is the subject of conversation on the campaign. I get your point. I take your point.
John, it was repeated by your network. You chose to start the debate with it. Don't try to blame somebody else. You and your staff chose to start this debate with it. Now, let me be quite clear. The story is false. Every personal friend I have who knew us in that period says the story was false. We offered several of them to ABC to prove it was false. They weren't interested because they would like to attack any Republican. They're attacking the governor. They're attacking me. I'm sure they'll presently get around to Senator Santorum and Congressman Paul. I am tired of the elite media protecting Barack Obama by attacking Republicans.
Well, that video was from subjectprojects.com, and I do want to thank them for having that video, and that I shared it in Fox News and all the others that I aired on these videos. Wasn't that something? You know, the crowd. Did you see that? The guy named John, his face. I mean, he must have went, oh. I mean, Newt just took him and twisted him right in half. Like, I'd like to see every one of them do it too. And it's like, good, pop it right back to them, because that's what they do. Not that I've ever watched it. I did take 5 minutes of my life that I'll never get back, and I did watch the Democrat one. Oh, Hillary, how's your garden doing? Oh, well, I got my servants working in it. I never go out and talk to them because they kind of smell. But yes, I'm way above everybody. And that's, this is what it is on their side. But on the Republican side, the leftist news media, they'll come flying after everybody. And that's what they're doing to Trump. So when a friend of mine has said, John, I can't vote for Trump because this is what what he said. I said, did he say it? Or is that what the news media is saying? Well, I saw it on CNN. I said, okay, or ABC. Well, they're taking 3, seconds of sound bites. NH1 did that to me. Remember that bird bill? They take, 8 seconds of my 2 minutes and 10-second speech, and that is what goes viral. And that's how they do it. They want to beat up on the Republican side. Sadly, they keep getting away with it because really they should be more fair. That's what I keep looking. That's what they're supposed to be, is more of the free press, to tell the truth and beat up on both sides. But they just don't seem to do it. But the last video, again, I did talk a little bit about it earlier, is with President Reagan. And it says, what is it? Oh, the beginning of the video, it says, shows a bald eagle. And it says, this is what a real president sounds like. And I'll tell you, it is. I miss Reagan. I think he was my first president I ever voted for. Like I said, I was 20 years old in 1980. So he was my first president. And President Carter made it easy for me. I had an 11.5% interest rate on my home that I just bought at age 20. And everybody goes, oh my God, how did you get it that cheap? Could you imagine paying 11.5% today? I mean, it's just, you wouldn't do it. It's just crazy. But when President Reagan speaks in this video, and I'm not going to be coming back, so until, I'll see you next week. But when he speaks in this video, I get goosebumps. It's exciting video. So I'm going to show it in a couple of seconds here. And like I said, I want to thank you for allowing me to be on the show, because without the viewers, I probably wouldn't be here. And I have a great time. And until next week, I got some good videos coming up of the Executive Council candidates, Jim Adams, and Joe Kelly Lavasser's coming up. So I'm going to start the video. Until next week, I'll see you later. So hold on for the video. Here it goes right now. It's going to start.
If we look to the answer as to why for so many years we achieved so much, prospered as no other people on earth, it was because here in this land we unleashed the energy and individual genius of man to a greater extent than has ever been done before. Freedom and the dignity of the individual have been more available and assured here than in any other place on earth. The price for this freedom at times has been high, but we have never been unwilling to pay that price. Those who say that we're in a time when there are no heroes, they just don't know where to look. The sloping hills of Arlington National Cemetery, with its row upon row of simple white markers bearing crosses or stars of David, they add up to only a tiny fraction of the price that has been paid for our freedom. Each one of those markers is a monument to the kind of hero I spoke of earlier. Their lives ended in places called Belleau Wood, the Argonne, Omaha Beach, Salerno, and halfway around the world on Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Pork Chop Hill, the Chosin Reservoir, and in 100 rice paddies and jungles of a place called Vietnam. Under one such marker lies a young man, Martin Treptow, who left his job in a small-town barber shop in 1917 to go to France with the famed Rainbow Division. There on the Western Front, he was killed trying to carry a message between battalions under heavy artillery fire. We're told that on his body was found a diary. On the flyleaf, under the heading, "My Pledge," he had written these words: "America must win this war. Therefore I will work, I will save, I will sacrifice, I will endure. I will fight cheerfully and do my utmost as if the issue of the whole struggle depended on me alone." We must realize that no arsenal or no weapon in the arsenals of the world is so formidable as the will and moral courage of free men and women. It is a weapon our adversaries in today's world do not have. It is a weapon that we as Americans do have. Let that be understood by those who practice terrorism and prey upon their neighbors. As for the enemies of freedom, those who are potential adversaries, they will be reminded that peace is the highest aspiration of the American people. We will negotiate for it, sacrifice for it. We will not surrender for it now or ever. We are Americans.